What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Conversation Piece. My name is Patrick Armstrong. I am your host. 2026 is the year of the people, and today we have a great one. My guest is making his second appearance on the podcast, first joining us way back in 2024 when we were still at Roundtable Recording. Shout out to Roundtable Recording. And we've been tapping in ever since. He is an artist, a rapper, a writer, a photographer, a DJ, a creative in every sense of the word. He is also one of the founders of a little hip-hop festival here in the city called Chreece. We're going to be catching up and kicking it, so I will tarry no further and welcome Oreo Jones back to the show. What's good, my guy?
What's up, bro? Yeah, pleasure, absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
100%. Yeah. You know that ever since we had you come through the show the first time, you have been one of my biggest supporters, I think, because you've continued to give me opportunities to pull up and talk about the festival, be a part of the festival in some sort of way. So I really appreciate you seeing whatever you saw and allowing me to continue to tap in with you.
Right on. Yeah, you're doing great stuff. I feel like you're a great voice for the city and just like getting people to discover cool things. I think it's so important. Yeah. So,
well, I appreciate you, bro. Well, I appreciate that. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Yeah. A little over caffeinated right now, but just trying to chug along. We're like a couple weeks away from the festival, so yeah.
Busy man.
Yeah, just clacking away on my laptop and connecting all the dots.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, excited to talk about the puzzle coming together.
Yeah.
But since you've been on the show, we have installed a new segment to kick off every conversation that we have called the Dream Machine. Are you a dreamless sleeper or a sleepless dreamer?
You said a dreamless sleeper?
Or a sleepless dreamer. And you can interpret that however you'd like.
I'm definitely a sleepless dreamer. I feel like I'm always cooking something in my brain all the time. I feel like I'm always thinking of some silly idea or trying to think of something that I probably can't accomplish, but some way or form, I'll try my damnedest to make it happen. But yeah, I'm always dreaming. I feel like I've always been a dreamer since I was a kid. Like, I feel like that's one of my favorite things to do is just daydream or vivid dream when I'm sleeping. I'm a dreamer. I'm a dreaming ass dreamer for sure.
I love it. So when you fall asleep, you have you deeply dream in your sleep. Okay.
Yeah, I have kind of crazy vivid dreams. Not lucid dreams, but like I had a dream last night that I got hit by SWAT.
Damn.
By like a SWAT team because I was having a house party. And
interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy. And people were like throwing sand at me. Yeah, it's just like
the SWAT was throwing sand or
just like people at the party and then like the SWAT team. Like I have crazy weird dreams like pretty much every night. It's wild.
That's wild because would you consider that dream to be bordering on nightmare territory or bad dream territory?
Yeah,
or?
Well, I didn't feel any kind of terror in it. So I didn't consider it a nightmare. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because both my wife and I had what we consider to be quote unquote bad dreams last night. So I don't know, something in the air right now.
Might be.
When you dream at night, do you feel like those things stick with you? Do you sit with those things for a long time after? Or is it kind of like I experience them when I'm asleep and then I wake up and move on?
Yeah, I kind of just like go on with it. Yeah, go on with life.
I mean, you can't let those things dwell on those things. Can't get hold up by those things. However, have you ever had a dream that like stuck with you that you were like, I don't know, just like made an impact on your life?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. Man, I'm trying to think now. I've had like kind of wild religious dreams. I remember when I was a kid, I was like driving down like the street that I grew up on. This was in the dream. And I started seeing like clouds in front of me and the pearly gates opened up and 3 crosses came out of nowhere and one of them lit on fire.
Damn, okay, that's crazy.
And then I woke up. I don't know why. I don't like. It was just like the craziest. Yeah, a pretty wild dream. Yeah,
that feels like I don't want to be morbid, but like
Yeah.
almost like a death dream a little bit.
Yeah. And I feel like I was like in like 6th grade, 7th grade. Yeah. Prepubescent. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
With the cross on fire too.
Yeah.
Like there's
3
a lot,
of them. Yeah.
a lot of things like happening there. A lot of layers to that dream. I feel like. Any like dreams that you've had recently that have been like mulling around in your brain?
Yeah, I mean, like just dreams that I'm like thinking of. Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Man, I really want to. I'm always trying to do something to push myself artistically.
Okay.
I'm currently trying to figure out a play with Ashton Dean or Astrid. Yeah.
Yep.
And
the doctor.
The doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor. We're talking about doing a play for one of my projects, a musical. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I'm like currently kind of like thinking about and dreaming about here. So yeah, you heard it here
I love
first.
that. Exclusive. A little bit of exclusive.
Yeah, for sure.
I like it. Well, that's the Dream Machine. You've done a lot of creative stuff, I feel like, since you last were on the show.
Yeah.
And one of those things was that you got to portray the Notorious B.I.G. With the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra as part of their Uncharted series.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, what was the impact of that role? But I feel like if you're talking about potentially one of your next projects being some sort of like play, I feel like did that play a role in the creative kind of like
I feel
process?
I feel like it's always been a dream to do something with like an orchestra. Well, I had this Michael Raintree project in 2018. I had a residency at the Central State. Old Central State spots hospital. But was now converted into residency or residential living. And I lived in the old nurse administration building in the basement. I worked on a piece with Rob Funkhauser, and I played with a quartet. This is Michael Raintree project. But I always wanted to do like a bigger, play with the whole symphony. And Steve Hackman, shout out Steve Hackman, reached out to me. Brilliant composer. He does this all kinds of like fusion with classical compositions, and contemporary stuff. And I reached out to me. It kind of went kind of fast. Like he hit me up this last Thanksgiving. Probably the weekend of Thanksgiving 25, and was like, hey, I'm doing the Resurrection mixtape with Pac and Big and Gustav Mahler, composer in Germany back in the day. And he's like, you want to audition for the role of Biggie? And I was like, whoa, this is sick. Yeah, I'd love to. I'd try. So he sent me stems of demos of the piece. And I read the sheet music and kind of just did my thing, recorded and send it back and forth. He's like, let's do it. So I had 6 weeks to prepare this piece, and I kind of like went full immersion with it. Method, if you will, where I was just
Heath
like
Ledger, Joker, kind of lock yourself in the hotel room.
I was just like eating like shit, and I was, drinking and just like listening to Biggie and Pac, and literally in my headphones when I'd go to sleep, I would listen to a playlist every night. I'd read sheet music every night. He'd send me different demos, and they'd all have the different BPMs. So I'm listening to 5 different versions of the piece.
Damn.
It's like an hour and a half piece, like 2 acts. And you're going nonstop. And you got to really pay attention to like the tempos. There's times where you are flowing and there's literally no drums behind you. So you're watching Steve's hands, and you're going without any percussion at all whatsoever. And you're just like, at the whelm of a harp or, the strings. And so I was something where I felt like it was going to, that could push me and make me like kind of full again. I feel like I go through these spurts where I'll do a big project, whether it's a record or a festival or doing this thing, and then I'm done with it, and then I kind of go into this like bout of depression where I'm just like, I did this thing, this huge thing that I've been like obsessing over, and then I'm like, oh man, like what am I doing with my life right now? It's kind of this weird phenomenon I go through. So it kind of like came at the right time where I was just like obsessive, to the point where I didn't even think about anything for like 6 weeks. It was like total immersion. We only had one rehearsal with the ISO too, which was like kind of crazy.
You only did one rehearsal for that?
Yeah.
That's
so I was
insane.
I was just like, you know, and then you're with these players, like shout out Ja'Cory Arthur, who did Pac. He actually played Chreece in 2016.
Okay.
1200, from Louisville. Amazing, like city activist. Like he travels with Steve and does all kinds of stuff. India Carney, she's the tenor, like sings for Moby, like at Coachella this year. Like Katy Perry was an American Idol judge. Tehran on the drums, like drummed for Prince.
That's crazy.
Nas, and like you have these, you know, players, and you're like kind of imposter syndrome feeling. I'm like, oh man, I can't. This is crazy. You know, these people have been traveling with Steve and playing forever. But then you like get into it in your chops and you remember who you are, and you remember, you know, you've been doing this since you're 17, you know, and you're like, yeah, this is great. I'm here. But yeah, it was nothing like playing at the Hilbert Circle, and just the ISO musicians are just amazing. Like complete, like one of the best in the world. And that venue was sick, and like having hip hop in that space, you know, is like something that you kind of dream about, you know, where it's just like unconventional. I'm a champion of having unconventional things in like these kind of spaces, and, you know, having a, you know, packed, sold out, you know, standing ovation, like, and like this classical thing is a core memory, you know, that I'll never forget for sure.
That's fucking awesome, dude. But to think that you only did one rehearsal for that is nuts.
I was like beside myself. We had to cancel one of the rehearsals.
Okay.
So
So could have had two.
Yeah. And we had, you know, 45 minutes for the first act and 45 for the second. So we're like not even going through the whole piece. We're just doing different measures, you know, like, all right, we're going to be, and then you got to be on your shit, because you got to be like, all right, Steve's like, all right, we're going to be at measure 358. And you're like, and then you're like writing notes and stuff. But it was something like, I was like, all right, man, like this is really challenging, and I'm gonna lock in. So yeah.
Well, somebody who I consider to be like a performance professional, like, and that's the whole purpose of Chreece is like you come and you like perform your music. You don't just like put the backing track on and you dance around on stage. Like there is a level of intentionality to it. Like this type of thing. So Emily and I, my wife and I, got to go see. They did a Stravinsky and Kendrick mashup.
Steve says it,
insane. And I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, like they must have been practicing this for months. So to hear you say like, oh, we just did one rehearsal over the 6-week period that I had to get ready for this is wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Me. I'm interested in though, like, especially as a creative yourself and talking about getting into like immersing yourself into the role of Biggie, like, and then while performing, like finding yourself again, like what is it like to try to retain that piece of you versus like trying to embody and become someone else? Like, especially when it comes to like this particular art form. It was definitely something where I had to really, I kind of struggled with, like I mentioned, like before I started this journey, you know, I really treated myself physically like shit. And after I was done with it, I was like, something had to change. So I like quit. Damn, okay.
I was like, I quit drinking for like 5 months, and I started hitting the gym, and I really was like, I need to treat my body like a temple. I had to really kind of purge myself and switch I feel like when I do projects like artistically, and I'm even go back to that Michael Raintree project, I was in a really bad space in my head, and I feel like that album really, working on that record really saved my life, where I, get so deep into the process, and I try to like harness this kind of mindset when I'm creating. And it doesn't matter if it's like designing a t-shirt or writing anything. Like I really kind of go head first with it. So sometimes it is hard to like kind of like come back to like, hey, like at the end of the day, I'm a human being. And I've always had that joy, even as like a kid and now. So it is sometimes hard when you're so headfirst into something artistically to be like, hey, like, remember who you really are, you know, if that makes sense.
No, totally. Well, it's cool that you had like this, like once upon completion, we're like, I need to change something about my own life, and get back to it. You look great, by the way.
Right on.
But like, I feel like even, especially for creative people and their creative pursuit, whatever it might be, sometimes once you get done with a thing, like people don't have that kind of revelation or that kind of realization that like, okay, like there's a piece of me that I think I want to work on, and then actually set out and go about doing that work. Would you say that was like the biggest thing that you learned coming out of that, was just like, I want to do more for myself, treat my body like a temple?
Yeah, for sure. Like I was like sweating, tying my shoes and putting my tone, and I'm just like, this is crazy. And I feel like I always go in spurts up and down, but I think it's important for me to just, kind of reset. I always go through these like phases where I like reset. But I really do get down on myself after I finish a project. It's kind of this crazy like phenomenon that I go through. If I work on something really hard, I'll just like beat myself up, where I'm like, all right, like what are we doing here? And I feel like I've always dealt with that just as a person.
What do you think that is?
I don't know. I feel like I've had this conversation before with my other colleagues and friends, that are, and not even creatives, but just people that are just working and big projects, whether it's like refurbishing a house or opening up a restaurant or doing things, or you kind of obsess over it, and like this like mentality where you get tunnel vision, and then once the goal is there, you're just like, okay, now what do I do? You know? And I'm trying to get better at like kind of stopping and smelling the roses and enjoying this after you're done. But that's something I feel like I'm just continuing to have to work on.
Well, I feel like you give so much of yourself to something. Like it makes sense to feel a low kind of after it's released to the world. Like it's just like, okay, that took everything out of me. And like, you got to kind of build yourself back up. When we talked in 2024, you were getting ready to release a project, Nephew.
For sure.
Kind of on the same line, like, how do you feel 2 years on from that project?
I feel like I still have an itch I need to scratch. I like I mentioned earlier with working, I'm trying to like turn this into a play and still kind of like give it life, because it was like a really personal project to me.
Okay, so Nephew is what you're trying to.
I'm trying to. Yeah. So
we're gonna get some of these details out a little bit.
So Dr. Ashford came up to me and was talking about what that would look like, and we really thought about how we could write a play to that. So I think that's still something. I also have another whole ass record that I still is in the can, and I'm mixing and stuff for that too. So I have these things that happen in my life, like a festival and all these things.
Where just like, a little festival.
Where I'm just like, yo, this is. I'm still an artist, at the end of the day, and I still have like admiration to release these things in my head and my soul. So yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to, the next chapter. Like what does it look like, not only releasing a record, but like having a whole like experience or a whole nother story surrounded that. That's why I, as I've gotten older, been trying to really really try to do. Yeah.
Well, I think it's cool to not only have the experience, but have it come later or more further down the road. Like to think that you'd revisit a project even 1 year later, but 2 years later with a maybe entirely different perspective on said project, I think is really cool. And I don't think a lot of people do any stuff like that. Yeah,
I feel like there's always just like the mindset where like you have your album has a shelf life and you have like a window to like, you have 90 days before to push it. Like there's always like people tell you, there's always like a method or like a formula or whatever. But I think the beautiful thing is no one has the right answer. No one has the wrong answer to everything. So I'm just going to continue to just do it the way I want to. And I think that's kind of cool that people are free to release and do and create. There's really no rules. And I think that's awesome.
I love it. And I think honestly, it continues. Like when the play comes out, when the new album comes out, I feel like it continues this very kind of unprecedented run that you're on because you drop Nephew. Chreece 9, 10, 11 is coming out. Like you did the thing with the symphony. You Bless dropped a record that was absolutely fucking fire. Right like that thing is so good.
Thank you.
And then you're also like peppering in like different. I wrote business endeavors, but I feel like you're just I've just seen you popping up in a lot of different places. And that's why I called it like an unprecedented run, because you're like, it feels strategic, but it also feels kind of like, I don't know. But I guess my question is like, how much of these last few years has been like intentionally timed, strategically timed versus like the timing just happened to be right and it just kind of fell into place?
Yeah, I feel like that's something I've always struggled with since I was a kid is time and timing, I guess I should say. Of like when I should drop things or like the strategy behind it. I think what's more important to me is like where I'm at, like conceptually and where my friends are, whether we're cooking with Bless or I'm working on a solo thing or I think like whatever I am working on and whatever feels whole to me is what I will like think about of how it will be in the universe, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Like how it will drop or whatever. So I never really had a strategy. Some projects for sure, like roll out and all that. 100% I've had a strategy with labels and PR and stuff like that. But like, as far as like what chapter in the story of my book is, like I think I just go with the flow, and then if it's like the flavor right now, whether it's like, all right, I'm just focusing on this festival or I'm focusing on an album or collaborating with something, like that's, I feel like takes precedent. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, you're doing a lot. Like
I've always been doing a lot.
I'm just like, as I was getting ready for this conversation, I'm like, oh my God, like this dude is doing like a ton of stuff. And and I think the crazy part to me is like, it's not necessarily all like public facing stuff. Like you're working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but like you've popped up on a couple singles I've seen, but like you had the one project 2014, one in 2015. The symphony thing is out as like kind of an album, that people can download or listen to. This is like the 2026 thing. So like, I think it's just been really interesting to see like, I guess that's why I use the word intentional, because it feels like it's like, I'm going to give a lot of myself to this thing here, and this thing here.
Yeah.
And then some of the stuff like, what Chreece is doing with the Indians or with Gang Gang or like with all of these different, like what you were doing with the Arts Council, like flying to Ireland and like doing that stuff. Like it's just like some of these things get to be peppered in around some of this intentional placement of creative output.
Yeah. And I feel like I've came to terms that like maybe people discover me when I'm dead and gone. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like to me, that seems kind of beautiful, like someone finding my stuff in like the depths of the internet or finding my record in a Goodwill or whatever. I think that's kind of cool.
That is very cool, I think. It's Chreece week here on Conversation Pace. Conversation Piece. Year 11.
Yeah.
How did you want to approach what I have called here the beginning of decade 2? Mm-hmm. To think about, you've even made it 1 decade in.
Yeah.
Now you're kind of starting, not anew, but like, how did you approach working into or coming into this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like every year you're starting over and you're trying to figure out if we're even supposed to be here. Sometimes.
Okay.
I always like, I'm a fan and as an artist of just like a one and done. Like whether it's like a merch shirt or like an album, like if you got it, if you're here in the moment, like, and you got it, then like, congratulations. That's awesome. We got to share this together.
Yeah.
But I'm going on to the next. Like I have to, that's like my mentality. Like
Jet Santiago, you should have been here style.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I feel like the spirit is always the same. Like the neighborhood's different, the city's different. And I'm saying as a whole, like artists and the people and the buildings, and just the sounds are different. So I feel like it's important to just always try to do your best and be diligent to adapt to that.
Yeah.
I think it's important to always be progressive and always try to find new things. And I think it's okay for people to try new things, you know?
Yeah.
But still like within the spirit of hip hop and the independence of it. I think the beauty of this festival is, we started we started when like social media and algorithms weren't dictating everyone's day and their future and their present. So I think the beauty of this festival is it's in real life. And no matter how anyone wants to decipher it or try to analyze it or try to like make it like a mythical figure, there isn't anything like going into the neighborhood, and having conversations and meeting people in your city, artists. A lot of the people are artists.
Yeah.
And seeing and hearing the sounds of your city, and celebrating hip hop, which is just like the most powerful genre.
Yeah.
And we have such a rich cultural history with Black music and just music in general in our city that people, overlook. And it is still potent. You can feel that in the DNA and just the concrete and just the air and the atmosphere. It just looks and sounds different every year as it goes, And I think that's what's sick is like trying to make a space for that. A space that's like intentional and safe and warming and cool and letting people get their chops. And there's just so many different pieces of the puzzle that, I think is important to just always kind of tinker with.
Totally.
And, it's a big machine, know? Yeah.
Well, especially a big machine operated by not that many people.
There's literally 3 of us. There's 3 of us that, Jane and Carly, shout out Vanessa too. My boy Jay, like he's been in the background too. And there's just like a lot, and Jake and Kanak, there's just like the designers and stuff. But like there's like pretty much 3-4 of us that that are behind the scenes. And it's still like this like independent DIY mentality, no matter how anyone tries to shake it.
Totally.
You know, we're humans too. That's
Yeah.
another thing. We're like, we're humans that have lives. And I wish it was a Hype Williams film that I could show you how like romantic and sexy it is trying to program and operate a festival, but it's really not, you know, like I'm just trying to like make sure that it's accessible and there's porta potties and people, you
the
know,
very
what I mean?
unsexy parts of
people,
organizing.
You know, that people can, you know, that are in wheelchairs is that ADA approved and like, you know, people can go and wash their hands and feel comfortable. Yeah.
Well, like you said, now that you're going on year 11, like that's a long time to be doing anything.
Yeah.
And with time and especially something that becomes more visible, more popular, more talked about, people are going to, like you said, mythologize a little bit
for sure.
and romanticize the idea of this festival. Yeah. And when you're on even as a festival goer, you're still on the outside of the operations part of it. Like, it's easy to see through rose-colored glasses versus like taking those off and understanding the reality of what it takes to like put something like this together.
Yeah.
Part of that process is the submission process for artists who want to be a part of Chreece.
Yeah.
And you posted earlier this year about having listened to all of the submissions and this was one of the first times you've been able to actually sit down and like you personally go through and do that. I was wondering if you could walk me through why this year was the year that you wanted to sit down and do that and like what that process is even like.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started the festival, it was easier for me because I was a lot more active in the scene. And as far as like, I was playing a lot of shows during the year. So it's like, a lot of them were my comrades and a lot of these folks, you know, I had a relationship. So I felt like it was, I'm in the trenches with it. Like, let's go. And no one knew about it. Like, so no one really had any idea of what we were doing, to an extent. But this, you know, I feel like after COVID, after we took a couple of years break, like it was important that there was a big reset, I feel like, after that, where there's people that have been working on music and you can't catch everyone. So I think the submission process is really important. We had over like 430 submissions this year. And I thought that it was important. And Jay Brookins is a big catalyst of just like going through stuff. And we had some people too that helped us. But I feel like this year having a big committee of folks, like 20 some folks from Stretch, from Follow the Money, Ladina Midwest League, Nigel from Black Joy, Grapevine, like Mariah Ivy to people that are doing things in the city. I thought was important, that are programming things, that are like kind of have their ear to the streets. I feel like I'm missing so many people. Sean Longevity, Jay Moore, and the New Old Head podcast. That, I mean, they're digesting hip hop like every day.
Every week, every single day,
every week.
They're about to release episode 500.
Yeah,
insane.
Yep. So, and the infamous Wild Style.
The infamous Wild Style.
You know, I wanted to get like as many people as I could, and then I was like, you know what, this is going to be my first year like really listening to. I made it a point to listen to every single submission. Yeah. And we had, you know, out of the 430, there was maybe like 100 so that were from out of state and out of the country.
Crazy.
Which is kind of crazy because this is all organic. This is all word of mouth. Like, we don't really put any that much
like,
money.
Hey, people from Ireland, like, we have a direct flight here. Come be part of our festival.
Yeah, so like you're going through these and you're like, wow, there's like someone from Barcelona. Whoa, this is crazy. Like LA, New York, Belgium, Canada. Like you're seeing and you're like, how did this like that just started in the little neighborhood of Fountain Square kind of like blossom into this like organically international thing? which is like really cool to see.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, going through there, and I've listened to every single one of them. And you know, I can't physically put 430 some people into a venue. There's only so many hours in a day.
For
it's
real.
one day out of the year. So yeah, like what can we do beyond just saying no to people? It's hard, you know. Offering workshops, yeah, that's cool. But like, I think it's important to try to your due diligence to try to find other things 365 throughout the year, other opportunities to like have people come through, see why your press kit probably needs a little shake, like needs a little
Totally.
revision. Open mics like Lyrics and Libation, they're doing
Yeah,
like they're
shout out
doing
Rhetoric.
Yeah, Rhetoric and Simon Said are doing
yep.
really sick things. At the health club, like what would an open mic look like this year? So like having that open mic this year is going to be really sick. To have people that come up and do their chops over at Hot Boys. So I'm always like trying to think of ways. It's always not going to be the right way.
Sure.
And it's not going to make everyone happy. I found that out a long time ago. I can't make everyone
Basically
happy.
impossible. So
Yeah. And you know, the few sour grapes that are, you know, attacking and saying that I'm out of my mind or we're not doing the right things. That's okay. It's fine.
Sure.
I swear I have like the best intentions. I started this thing when I was in my 20s. I had $200 in my checking account. I feel like I've said this a million times, but like I literally have had no idea what a festival was. And I was that person that was not getting booked for festivals. Sure. I was not getting booked for shows. Like I was, if anyone understands, I know like, and I know it's hard to believe because people don't see the steps that it's like,
exactly.
that takes to get to where from point A to point B. But people were not believing in me. They would never give me a shot. I was that person like in my bedroom studio being like, what is wrong with these people? Like what? They don't understand. Like I'm good. I promise you. Like They don't see it. So I feel like you really got to like go through these mentalities. I've been thankful and blessed enough to like grow up in a community where like people would not make a way for you. You got to do it yourself. So like living in the square and like the Cataracts era with Jake Gardner and living on Moore Street with like a house full of artists and a block full of musicians, like seeing that is like, yo, you just got to do it yourself for better or worse. And you're taking a risk. I built this with my own hands with the help of a community of people throughout the years. But just having that delusion and saying that, like, you know what, like I'm going to do it. Like, and I'll fall flat on my face. This might be our last year. You know what I mean? Like we might fail. Like, sure. And I'm okay with that. And I think you gotta be okay with people not believing in what you're doing is the right way. But I know I can go put my head on the pillow every night knowing that, hey, I'm doing it with the best intentions. I'm trying to put a spotlight on our city. And I think that's like really what's important. And people, I feel like, will see that. They'll see the intentionality of it, whether you're opening a restaurant up or you're trying to like create a space or write something. Like people will see that. They see through all the smoke and mirrors. Like they're not dumb. Yeah.
Totally. I think that last year, two people said two things that have really stuck with me about this particular festival, but just generally about like creative stuff is that, so the infamous Wild Style, when people were getting really loud or a few people were getting loud about the selection process, he had said something like, you know, the people who are loudest right now and complaining about who is on the list, who's not on the list of performers are the people who are not at shows, not doing shows. They're not really getting out there and putting themselves out there to have the opportunity to do this in the first place. I thought that really stuck with me because I'm like, you do have to like take the risk on your own to put yourself in a position, like you said, with the $200 in your pocket, like to make something happen. Like you kind of got to do it on your own a little bit. And then when we had Jane on the show last year, she said something I thought a lot of people should take away whenever it comes to any event. And she said that Chreece should not be your end all be all.
Yeah.
Like that can be one thing. It'd be a great resume highlight, but like you should not be banking on this to be the thing that puts you wherever it is you want to go. Yeah. Like, and when you can like shift your perspective and like reframe that mentality, it's like, okay, I'm going to go out like what Wildstyle's saying, do this work, and then does that put me in a better position to be at a Chreece next year?
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I'm at Chreece, once I've done Chreece, like what doors does that open? And like where else can that take me?
Yeah.
So I appreciate you saying all that because I feel like a lot of people, like you said, like we're talking about, you know, they're seeing it from the outside in, looking with a skewed perspective, whether they're a attendee or a potential performer, and sometimes that rose color can turn a darker shade of red, and like you only see like I'm being slighted.
Yeah, yeah,
and
for
like
sure.
I'm going to take this personal. When in reality, like how many people have had a conversation with you, had a conversation with Jay, had a conversation with Jane about like what could I do to put myself in a better position?
For sure.
Or like what's the story of like how you even got started with this?
Yeah,
you know, because like you're 10 years in now, like. You probably are in some sort of like legendary status of like you created this thing and now like I've seen you literally running back and forth from place to place, putting out fires and like making stuff happen on festival day. Yeah. But some people might not even realize like, oh, that's the guy who made this happen to begin with.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to touch on something you said about submissions. 430.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Out of state, wild. Out of the country, even wilder.
Yeah, yeah.
Does having like submissions from a global perspective impact or change the way you approach like how submissions work? You obviously, like you said, you had a bigger committee this year, like expanded committee, but like does realizing, oh, we've got people from all over the world that want to come here, does that change the way you approach that process?
Yeah, no, because it's always going to be like 90% Naptown to the bone.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? Like I really, really, really want to honor that. You know, like I think it should always be Indianapolis. But yeah, it's just important to always put your best foot forward, you know, and I think that's what's important about it. Like if you really take your craft seriously, you really take your life seriously, like I think it'll show, like, you know, no matter what, you know, through whatever, you know, we put the process or how many links, like live performance footage, like, can you rock a 30-minute set? What does that look like? So I don't think it'll ever change. I think that's the thing as far as like submitting or like your resume or your EPK, you know, what does that look like? And I think that people know if it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like, the biggest difference is just like, it doesn't matter whether you're in the city or you're out of the country. Like we're still going to approach that selection same way. Yeah. And basically, can you go up on stage and not only perform, but like do it without the use of extra vocals or the song playing in the background? I'm interested in the selection process for headliners. I was wondering if you could kind of talk about what that process is like, because I think every year it's been banging. And I think the last 2 years, especially for me as like the fan of the person that I am and the artist that I really enjoy, like it's like very difficult to ever top the last 2 years. I was this is insane. Currency, it's Smino and Audrey Nuno, like Audrey Nuno, like insane coming off of the most
generational run, right?
Truly. And like that would like, it still blows my mind to this day. How do you approach that process? Like coming off of like these big runs, like for headliner selection this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, I feel like it goes back to just like trying to be progressive. And we've always, throughout the history of the festival, have tried to get a national act that's like emerging. That's
For sure.
like kind of like on the cusp, you know? And I feel like we've done a pretty good job with that. I mean, when we had Griselda here, like Benny the Butcher and Conway and them, like we booked them, and then like a month later they signed with, you know, Def Jam or Shady Records, and like we've always been like kind of just there. And I think that's something that's important to just try to get like folks that are like on the cusp. We really wanted to get a woman headliner. We've always wanted to have like that representation. And like Rico, I think in 2017 we tried to book her, and you know, I think it's just like kind of just the right place at the right time. Like,
totally.
Like she's on a generational run right now. She just dropped a record with Kenny Beats. Like, she's about to go on tour. Like, this is her first stop. Chreece is her first stop on her tour. And then she's going with Hayley Williams of Paramore, like
That's
going
crazy.
on a run with that. So like, I think the beautiful thing about hip hop, and now, especially in 26, is like there's no rules, and there's like, you know, these like kind of blurred lines that go on it, and she's like really, really killing it on that. Georgiana, you know, hot topic, Michigan City, you know, I want to let it known that like, yo, you can be from Indiana no matter what you're doing and still be on a national stage. I mean, she's playing Rolling Loud. She's playing Lyrical Lemonade in Chicago. Yep. She's got songs with Yachty, Glorilla, Babytron, like these, you know, and she's 21, you know, like she's a kid. And she's doing different stuff. Everyone in the whole world country is like, you know, whether it's your cup of tea or not, she's still making noise.
Totally.
And I think that's important to show artists here that you can still be from Indiana in the middle of America, and you can still tour and you can make noise. And I think that's like a real catalyst of like why I think she should be on here.
Okay.
And also we got Overcast, which is another sleeper that I feel like people should be paying attention to, because he had the credits on the last 2 Drake records, like on Iceman and the other joint. When he's dropped, I mean, as we're talking now, he's about to drop a record. Like everyone's dropped. Georgiana's about to drop a mixtape, a little EP too. So I think that's another beautiful thing about this festival. If you look at all the artists that are playing this festival, look at how many of them are dropping. Bro. Around this time.
It's
you know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
Please look at the lineup and see how many artists drop around this thing, around this festival. And I think that's another important thing. It just gives a little kick in the tush for these artists to come on, let's keep going, man. Yeah. Let's keep creating. Let's keep like, when's the last time you dropped a record? When's the last time you know, are you touring? Are you playing any shows outside of the city? Like, you know, we go back to that point where you were saying that Jane was mentioning, like, this isn't the end all be all. This isn't the checkered flag. Like, if anything, this should be the start of you trying to like do something. And you can't just be, you know, like using this festival as just like, this is it. Like, this should be something that inspires you to keep on going. Like, this isn't the finish line. Yeah, this is not. Like, this is a celebration, yes, but like, I feel like this should be an inspiration. There's so many artists that are going to be playing in the neighborhood that day, and a lot of people from different states. Collaboration,
totally.
Like, you know, we're going to have an artist lounge where artists can like all kind of mingle together. And I think that's the one beauty of Chreece. There's a lot of creatives, you know, designers from clothing, graphic designers, you know, visual artists. There's so many people that are consolidated in this area of the city that I'm anxious to see like the figure of how many like projects have started just because of said festival. So like,
that would be a cool bit of data to have. Like what has like sprung out of
relationships
each year.
And like, you know, collaborations, and like, I think that's something that people, kind of don't talk about, because it really is. It's a in real life celebration, like beyond all the noise and all the, for better or for worse, like outside and social media and the internet. When you go there, when you come into the neighborhood that day, you really see the positivity. I mean, it's literally cheers and peace in this thing. Or you see, you know what I mean? They call it a Naptown holiday for a reason. The hip hop Super Bowl, there's been so many, names for it, but like, at the end of the day, it's people getting together, and you really see that like touch grass moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Where you're like, we're real, real people.
Yeah.
And you're being in community.
You know? How do you feel when you hear stuff like Naptown Super Bowl or like a Naptown holiday, Chreece be labeled something like that?
I never really got like into like titles or like into any of that stuff. And I know it sounds silly or like whatever. There's times where you got to like step back and really appreciate and like smell the roses and all that stuff. But like, I don't think anyone owes me anything. Sure. I don't think that like, I don't create, and I never created for any other person. This is different because this is a community thing, you know?
Sure.
And for, community isn't like kumbaya. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like, I feel like community also should be like critiqued.
Yeah.
And people saying like, yeah, hey, we
can think critically about this thing.
For sure. Yeah. Like that's awesome. I think that's the beauty of it all. But yeah, I try not to get hung up on other perceptions, good or bad. Like I see a mission, as silly as that sounds. I see like a pathway, and I just want to make sure that the artists have a stage and they get to put their best foot forward. They get paid to do so. I think that's very important.
Hell yeah.
And that they have an audience to see that. So I think that's my main thing.
Yeah. Well, they definitely got the audience. I don't know. If you've never been to Chreece, then you don't know how packed every single one of those venues gets. And the Annex, that line, be wrapped around to the front of the hi-fi.
Yeah, I think that's something too. Like that, I feel like we tweaked this year. We had an intermission last year for like a lot of the venues were paused, and then that I feel like the whole festival damn near funneled to Annex to see Mavi and Smino. But yeah, this year we tweaked. I feel like that's the beauty of like tweaking things every year is different.
For sure.
So hopefully that won't be a little.
Well, I wasn't meaning it as like a negative. I was just meaning it's like that's like how important it is. I think for festival goers, like to be there, and they want to be and see these people on stage. Yeah, and then like thinking about the local folks or the people who are from Indy. I'm trying to get away from using the word local more, and like allowing us to be globally minded. Yeah. And to think about like Corey and Distinct being up on stage opening for some of the biggest names in the world right now in the genre, I think is awesome. Mm-hmm. And to know that like that line is not just for the headliner, it's for these people that have been in the city making an impact, been out and about making stuff happen. Yeah. Like that's awesome. Yeah. You talked about Lyrics and Libations open mic. That's a new thing for this year. Yeah. What else are you excited about that's different or new for this year's festival?
Yeah, I'm really excited for the People's Village. It'll be the first time this year that we really kind of like trying to make like a free space. We've had free spaces since the beginning of the fest in 2015, but like having a bigger imprint. I know that there's a lot of construction in the neighborhood this year, and I feel like, what does it look like to try to like inject more people into helping those like small businesses out? So yeah, having a bigger imprint, and we're going to have like over 50 some vendors this year, creatives from like, clothing lines to bookstores to food. I mean, we got Epicureans going to be here this year, which is so sick. Like, I'm really, really, really excited to have them bring the food festival to life in the People's Village. That'll be free. Like, you can go and you don't even have to have a wristband. The plaza, which is like I call it the heartbeat of the festival.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Literally the beats.
Yeah. Straight up. Like, Metronome and Longevity in them have been doing that since 2015. Like, a free space with the academics and bringing down the band. Like, there's kids that'll be playing their first DJ sets ever in a festival format. State Street Beats and Longevity in them, like, curating that beat battle. Yeah. Is sick. Shout out Denicia Monet too with Rook. Like, she is such a jewel in the city. Like doing these activations and games and activities for kiddos. Like, this is something that's all ages and free. Like, I if I could make this festival free, like, that's like the ultimate dream. We talk about dream where no one has to pay anything. I have to pay these artists and
for sure
and people that I think that it's just like showing people's worth and showing the city like it contributes to the quality of life. Like, I think that's so important. But like, not having a wristband to go to these things, we're gonna have like gang there doing butter stuff, like the United States Colored Troops, like. Who I've got New Fields like coming in, like showing their what they're gonna do with the Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys exhibition. Naptown Votes is gonna be there, like signing people up to vote. Like, I think that's like really important. I'm not like a big vendor person. I'm gonna say this out loud, like, but I love going to events and things where people can get resources and like learn about their own city. And
hell yeah,
I think that's important. Like, I also think it's like important to show like I don't contribute to the cost of your light bill or like the cost of your groceries or childcare. But like, I can pride myself on like trying to create a space where I can try to get as many people together to learn something. And I think that's like important to always try to navigate that and make that something for as many people as possible. We got the Epicurean folks, a lot of immigrant small business owners that are making food. You got artisans that are making things in these vendor spaces. Things where people can go and just exist, I think, is in a safe and welcoming environment, I think is super important.
100%. Well, I would say that the festival has become something of an Indianapolis cultural institution. Yeah. And I don't know if that's maybe the goal that you had in mind when you started it, but I think especially 10 years on, like, it's a visible thing. Clearly people from outside of the country are trying to come here and be a part of it. Yeah. And I think like, to have something like that, also be willing to be as community focused as possible is really incredible, because I think the reason that the theme of this year is the Year of the People is because I think if you look at what's happening right now, I think anybody could rightfully say that our institutions are not really working for us. And I think what gets lost in the shuffle is the people. And I think it's really important for us to remember that the institutions don't make us, the people make the institution. And the institutions are nothing without those people. Talk a little bit about the DJ Indiana Jones Scholarship too. Yeah,
we've been trying to get this thing going for a couple of years now. We've been selling shirts, and we had a DJ battle in 24. But that's one thing I've been really just trying to raise money for. Ron always would just pay it forward. He really took me under his wing, and I that's something I just don't want that legacy to get lost. And I think that's something that we've been trying to do. What does it look like to raise money for future DJs, kiddos that are trying to do production classes at Decademics? Like, I think that's something that we've been trying to get going. And trying to like constantly just figure out steps that we can can contribute to the youth, because I think that's super important right now, more so than ever. So yeah, we've been trying to raise some money this year and trying to get so we can pay tuition for kids that are trying to do academics or Rock 2 was another place that he worked at, where he was doing DJ lessons and with the kiddos and stuff. And he really was like super stoked on that, even towards the end of his time here with us. So that's the whole goal with that. Yeah.
What's the best way for people to like contribute to that if they want to?
You can go to chreeceaf.com. Okay. Yeah. And like you can find out more about the scholarship underneath the DJ Indiana Jones tab. Yeah.
Shout out to Ron.
Yeah. Shout out Ron, man.
I called it a cultural institution. And you talked a little bit about like this festival happening in the heart of Fountain Square. Lots of construction happening right now. And I, from my perspective, not planned out well enough to support the businesses that operate along Virginia and McCarty and like all of the places around here that are impacted by that. And it's not good. Like it's very bad for folks. What's your perspective, I guess, as somebody who is like spearheading one of these cultural institutions, just like where we are as a city in general?
I'm an optimistic person.
Okay.
You know? So I always try to see the brighter side of a lot of things.
Totally.
From my perspective too, like in 2015, even before COVID, like when we were doing this thing, like and even just being an artist and creating things, not even like just a festival in general, but a lot of the institutions didn't understand it or like know the value and how it is important and impactful. Now people are trying to see, and I think are seeing, the importance of things like Chreece, there's a lot of festivals that are going on and a lot of like cool institutions that are doing things, and it's not just us, like, but I feel like the city and like these foundations and organizations see the importance of that. So I'm saying that it is a really good time to be a person that is building things now, creatively.
Yeah.
And it goes. It ebb and flows. It's a roller coaster. It's not for the faint of heart.
For sure.
Yeah, like we do not make hardly any money doing this.
Yeah.
Like I went full time doing art and Chreece in 24, and like I'm not gonna lie, like I was on food stamps in like late 25.
Yeah.
You know, trying to figure that out. Like it's not for the faint of heart. And I'm not trying to be this like whole like starving artist diatribe, but it's tough out here. For anyone, no matter if you're an artist or whatever. So I'm always going to be optimistic, but there are some challenges. You know, people talk about gatekeeping and they talk about like they can't get in these certain spaces, or we're putting this like kind of veil over, but it's just like, what does it look like as someone, you say it's like a cultural institution, trying to convince the next tier of folks, the upper echelon class, like convincing them that this is very important and these things need to survive in order to contribute to the quality of life, to contribute to retaining people to come here in the city, to helping small businesses, you know.
Yeah.
That's sometimes where I feel like I'm a fish out of water, where I'm starting to like go to these, you know, these rooms and these places.
Yeah.
And I don't like wearing blazers or any of that. Like,
are you rocking a blazer in those rooms?
No, hell no, never. But I'm saying like, that's sometimes where I feel like really out of my element, where I try to convince these people that these things are important and we need these things not to disappear. So that's something that like I'm juggling with and I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to figure out as a person and a human, how we can translate and how we can communicate the importance of things like a butter Chreece Epicurean, like all these like really important cultural institution, these things, and why if they fade away, then it will just be a heartbreak, you know?
How do you feel like those conversations are going?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, that's the thing. Like I'm like not a businessman whatsoever. Okay. I'm just like a person that likes to, I feel alive and I feel like a human when I'm making something with my bare hands or thinking outside of the box and trying to make shit shake. Like that's what makes me feel alive. But trying to tell you why that is important, sometimes I struggle with that. You know, like, why is this important? I feel like I come from like a very blue collar, like small, humble, you know, family, you know, where it's just like we let our actions speak.
Right.
I don't really comment on things, you know, or like try to, I'm just like, you know, trying to let my actions
not have to use words to convince somebody. The 10 years of doing this you would think would be enough sometimes. But you're also fighting like 400 years of like societal thing. Yeah,
there's still like systemic racism, and there's still these like things that like, you know, why is insurance so hard to get for a festival, hip hop festival, you know, or like, you know, these like things that people don't think about or they don't even talk about, where, you know, it's there's so many more important things that I think that we should focus our energy on, trying to break down and try to get to the bottom of, you know, these little things.
Well, if we can get to the root of stuff, it opens a lot more doors for a lot more things to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people like to hold on to those roots because it gets them on the one seat that's on top of everybody else. Yeah. And they feel good about that. While everybody else below them ain't feeling so good.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So, well, I appreciate you being in the rooms. And finding your way in there and having those conversations. I think it's really important. Yeah. And I can't think of many other people better equipped to do that, just with the body of work that you've done and the things that you're already involved in, to be in those conversations.
Thank you.
To advocate for some of this stuff.
I appreciate you.
All right. As we kind of wrap up here, I want to tie back to dreaming a little bit, how we open this conversation. What are your dreams for the city? What are your hopes and dreams?
I dream for anyone that is doing anything, like making space or creating anything, to live a long and fruitful life. And I say that like, I know like the creative economy is such a buzzword right now and like all that, but it really is like an important thing when you look and you go to other cities in our country and you see how they move and shake. And sometimes it can be kind of baffling at like the support that a lot of these arts institutions and these people that are doing things get. Yeah. So my dream is to like anyone that is doing anything, that they can survive. Yeah. I think, and like have like the actual means to keep their dream alive. Yeah.
I love that. Any causes or anything specific outside of the festival, outside of the scholarship that you're currently supporting that you'd love for other people to tap in with or tune into and pay attention to?
Oh my goodness. There's so many cool things in the city. Shout out anyone that just is like doing anything really, no matter how big or small. That's the thing. You don't got to like swing for the fences. Like, this started as a thing where I was just like, you know, not swinging for the fences. I was just like taking each day at a time and starting, you know, going to shows. It all started for me just like going to shows and learning about the city. Like no one gave me a shot. I would just pay cover and go and meet people. I think that's like that initiative in real life, I think is like the theme I've been telling people lately is just like, get to know your city and like go and find out where you find your tribe, find your people, find what makes your heart sing. I think is like the most important thing. Yeah.
I love it. I don't think of any other way that we could possibly close this episode out
Cool.
Other than that.
Yeah.
You want me to call you Sean? You want me
Yeah,
to call you Oreo?
cool. Yeah,
Sean?
yeah.
I feel like I've only called you Oreo. I never asked, so I feel terrible. But Sean,
right
thanks for
on.
coming by again. Thanks for being a part of this, and
appreciate
excited for Chreece 11.
Yeah. Right on.
For
Appreciate
sure.
you.